What I would do though, if it was my decision, is I would probably see if there are charges appropriate for the mom, and I would probably file those charges, and then I would give her some kind of a lesser sentence if she pled and testified against Stephan. So if you did have the evidence, which I don't know, I'm not saying that they do or don't, but if you did, I probably would, and give her a lesser sentence or some kind of probation, but still convicted of a felony. There's lots of different things you can do to where she still is held accountable, but also testifies against Stephan, where she doesn't have to just walk away free. Because in the cases usually where you walk away free, but you had a lot of dirt on your hands, it's because they don't have CCTV. They don't have the pictures. I got to be honest. You show those pictures on his phone and he's the last one with her. Like, what jury is not going to think he's the one that did this?
Right.
You know, he's innocent. He's presumed innocent. As crazy.
And just so you all know, I do not believe that that trial, especially the CSAM, is not going to be streamed. Now, they did tell Stephan Stearns that it wasn't going to be streamed yesterday, and I think that may have been one of the factors in why Stephan showed up to court. Okay, so the judge did say he has to be at trial, but the judge also said that it wasn't going to be streamed yesterday, and for the CSAM stuff. They're not going to put that out there. They can't put that out there. Just like the Diddy case, how they can't put it out there because it's federal. Now, they can't put that out there when they have, it's just a bunch of CSAM stuff and pictures and pictures and pictures of Maddie. They can't do that. They can't show the people that are testifying in that case. They can't even talk about half that stuff. When I have to say CSAM and I can't say what it is, sexual abuse or sexual material, right? I can't talk about child material. They're not going to be able to talk about that openly in court. So just keep that in mind.
Crazy as that sounds. As he sits in jail right now in Florida, he is presumed innocent. But the amount of evidence that comes out publicly is different in every case. And from his perspective, there's a lot of evidence that we know about. And there's always the opportunity, like you said, that there's a lot of evidence we don't know about. So at this point, just from what we know, it looks like he's cooked. We'll see if that's what ends up coming out in trial. But that's kind of the analysis a prosecutor goes through with making deals with witnesses, that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be you walk away scot-free. There can be some kind of middle ground sometimes if you feel like you don't need her, but you'd like her to testify.
Yeah, they don't need Jen, but they'd like her, and maybe she'll change her narrative. I hope she changes her narrative a bit, because right now her narrative is going to make her look really guilty to the jury. Karen, this came out yesterday, I think 23 hours ago. So I had to show it to y'all before everybody saw it. I wanted to show how this case is getting attention. And there are a few things that we correct along the way. And I suspect that them talking about Stephan being the boyfriend is coming from the narrative of the nation. The nation believes that that was her boyfriend. People believe that that was Jen Soto's boyfriend. They don't even know that she sent Jen or Madeline to bed with her ex-boyfriend that hadn't been her boyfriend for months and months and months. Well, 4 months. He hadn't been there for over a month. All right. So yeah, everybody felt Maddie. I'm not going to get into blame games on here because I don't want to bash any of the particular family members, but nobody's done anything for Maddie since. We're the ones supporting. Nobody's at court. I don't see anyone showing up like I normally do for children. It's really weird. Yeah, he's going to meet old Sparky. Florida will be tough. Absolutely. I can't even believe that. I can't even believe that he pled not guilty. I can't believe that he didn't pull a Chris Watts. It's such a terrible crime. I can't believe he just didn't say, I'm guilty. Do with me what you will, after having 35,000 pictures. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Hit the like button. Don't forget, y'all. Like, subscribe, and share. And thank you for all you've done today. All the memberships, all the super chats, all the super stickers. Thank you. You guys are a wonderful community.
Against stuff.
And how long would you, and again, I know we don't know the ins and outs of the case, but how long would you wait to bring even lesser charges against her? Because I guess that's where the gray area is right now to the public. They're like, she hasn't been charged with anything yet this and this, nothing's adding up. So surely that must be because she has a deal in place. But again, we don't know that. So it could just be that either A, they don't have enough to charge her and there is no deal in place. B, maybe she does have a deal. Or C, maybe they're waiting to charge her because they're still investigating. And so I guess, like, at what point would you expect there to be charges against her if they did have knowledge that she was involved in any sort of way?
So that's a great question. And actually the first step we would always take is, as long as you can wait, you wait. if she's going to talk to you, she's going to talk to you. I've seen like interviews of her. So, I mean, she's talking. Maybe she's not telling them everything. Maybe she's not giving them everything they need or they want, or they know she's lying about certain things, but she is talking to them. So she is somewhat cooperative with them. So as long as you have that, you ride it. You don't give a deal if you don't need to, but you wait as long as you can. And eventually, if you think you need to, or at some point she says, okay, I'm not going to testify anymore, or I'm not going to tell you this or that, that's usually when you see the charges start coming, the deals start coming. Sometimes immunity deals come without charges, right? They just say, if she's going to plead the fifth, let's say they're planning on calling her as a witness and she gets a lawyer and the lawyer says she's not going to testify, she's going to plead the fifth, then you can give immunity to force them to testify and no longer allow them to plead the fifth, because you can only plead the fifth if there is potential criminal charges or potentially incriminating things that you're going to say when answering questions. So the prosecutor can literally force people to testify by saying, there's no Fifth Amendment because there's no criminal charges. We are not going to make it possible for anything you say to be incriminating. Therefore, take the stand, testify, you've got immunity. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We talk about YK.
Fast forward.
There was this big ex parte hearing with the judge where they're like, you have to testify. They're giving you immunity. So whatever you say, you can't be held responsible for, and you're not going to be convicted of it. You're not going to be arrested. You're not going to be charged. And he said, well, what if I lie? And they're like, well, the only thing that you could be charged with is if you lie about this specific thing. So they're basically coaching them on how to testify. They didn't tell the defense attorneys about the ex parte hearing. It was a big legal thing, but generally speaking, that's exactly what happened to him. They arrested him, put him in the orange jumpsuit, and the only thing, he was held in contempt, and the only way he could get out, it wasn't a specific sentence. It was only until he corrected the wrong. So basically
and see, we don't want that. We don't want Jen Soto to get arrested on some lame charge where it's not going to be a felony and she's not going to be put away long enough that she can't have children anymore, right? We never want her to be like Carla Homolka, where she gets a little bit of prison time, comes out, has a whole other family, and just moves away. We don't want that. We also don't want a Casey Anthony as well, but is obviously a lawyer, and he's breaking it down beautifully. Hello, Glory Gigi Garcia. Good to see you all. Good to see new faces around here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's finish this up.
They could have held him in prison for this entire trial, for next trial, until he decided to testify against them, because he was held in contempt of court for refusing to testify when he could not have a Fifth Amendment privilege because they had already given him immunity. So they can like force immunity deals on witnesses in different scenarios. And this could be a scenario where they do that as well.
Okay. So now tell me this, and this might be a dumb question. I'm sorry, but curious.
No dumb questions.
So for situations where it's like the mafia or the mob, whether somebody has committed a crime and is forced to testify or not, but they refuse because they don't want to be a rat and they don't want to have the retaliation to be killed for, flipping or turning or ratting on somebody. What does that look like? Do they ever, if they just refuse to speak altogether, whether they would be charged or not?
So I really encourage you to take a minute afterwards and watch the Little Woody testimony, honestly.
Okay.
Anybody that's listening to the podcast, she's asking this question and we all now know what it looks like. So it's very rare that something like this happens, specifically like this